Hello. Hola, ciao, and bonjour. My name is Chase, and welcome back to Eevee Expo 3, where today we'll take you around the world in less than an hour. That's my guarantee, at least. We hope you're looking forward to seeing more exciting trailers and interviews, just like the one we saw from Super Pokemon Eevee Edition, a long-running game that we are so proud to be able to showcase to you today. For this expo, we've learned to expand our horizons, and hopefully yours, by including games made in different languages and using different technologies than those you would usually see. So we hope you're looking forward to seeing more of those. Before we jump into our first segment though, I'd love to fill you in on 2 exciting new partnerships we've made since last time you were with us. First, we partnered with the University of New South Wales Pokémon Society, a student organization with the university that hopes to bring Pokémon fan games to a wider population and audience. By partnering with them, we hope that we can share communities and put on some really cool community events that you'll want to stay tuned for. In the meantime though, here's a few words from them. Give a listen.
Hello to all you Eevee Expo fans. Now, I know we all love Pokemon here, but what does Pokemon really mean to you? Is it a way to connect with friends, or a means of escape from life's monotony? At the UNSW Pokémon Society, we see it as a way to forge new relationships between people and, well, Pokemon. My name is Callum, and I am the president for the Pokémon Society at the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia. We have recently partnered up with Eevee Expo with the aim of growing and supporting the Pokemon fan game community on Australian soil. We also hope to increase the local awareness of said fan games so that more people can experience the passion projects that have been lovingly curated by developers from around the world. Who would have thought that Tajiri's childhood bug-catching experiences would spawn such a diverse and far-reaching group of fans? So what else can you find at the UNSW Pokémon Society? We host regular events both in person and online that cater to the many subdivisions of the franchise. These range from trivia nights to Unite tournaments, from Pokemon Go day trips to weekly hangouts. Recently, we held a fan game soloing challenge where teams from all over competed against time and luck, creating new friendships and memories along the way. If these sound interesting to you, we urge you to check us out. Keep up to date through our Instagram or get involved with our events through our Discord. Thank you to Eevee Expo for this opportunity, and I hope to see some of you soon.
Big thanks for them coming on to give you guys a few words. Secondly though, we've partnered officially with Relic Castle, so we'll be following their events like game jams more closely, and you'll be able to get custom Eevee Expo badges for playing games that are showcased in the expo, so make sure to keep an eye out for those when they're ready. With that out of the way though, let's take a look at our first segment of trailers. Pretty cool, right? Believe it or not, almost all those games use different engines for their development. While Pokémon Divulgence and World Summit EX both use Pokémon Essentials, all the other projects use different engines. Project Steelheart, for example, is a Gen 5 ROM hack, and Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Halcyon uses a brand new engine for Mystery Dungeon style games. Now, to round things off after that latest round of trailers, we now have an interview with Yuri and Arun from PSDK to talk about their developments in their engine. Take a listen.
Hi, this is Ronco from Eevee Expo, and we have here, and we have Chase as well, and we're doing an interview with a contributor with PSDK and Pokemon Studio. We have Yuri here.
Hey, nice to meet you all. I'm Yuri Nuri, the initiator of PSDK.
If you could introduce PSDK and Studio to our audience.
PSDK is basically an engine that allows you to make Pokemon fan games, and that's basically I would say the game player, and Pokemon Studio in the other side is the editor. It's quite equivalent to RPG Maker, but it's not exactly RPG Maker because Pokemon Studio is focused on making Pokemon fan games.
Okay, sounds cool. We know that PSDK has been using RMXP for a while, and Studio is eventually kind of supplanting that in the future. Is that correct?
Yes, so the problem with RPG Maker XP is that it's not made to edit Pokemon data and it's not free. So the Pokemon Workshop community just started that project of Pokemon Studio, which allows people to do everything at the same place with some difference because, for example, the mapping will still be done with tiled. There's also some new features that will come. We plan on making some kind of visual scripting using nodes like you have in Unity or Unreal Engine, but this is for late 2024.
Personally, I'm kind of curious, how did PSDK as a project come to form?
So in France, we had something called Pokemon Script Project that came out in 2008. 3 years, there was absolutely no update on the engine. I started working on a version 2 of that engine, but unfortunately, it was not interesting to the people, so I just left that project aside. In 2014, we started something completely new. This time, the community was very into it, so I implemented the Follow Me system, the Day-Night system, the Berry system, and also that system tag thing. When you show shiny features to people, they get interested, and that's when PSDK really started. And that's when we created the first database editor for PSDK, but the UX of that GUI was terrible.
That was Ruby Host, right?
Yes, exactly, Ruby Host.
I remember using Ruby Host. It wasn't that bad.
Yes,
but eventually, we all know it started to evolve into Studio, which is so much easier to work with now. PSDK has their own plugin section now, right?
Yes, so on the website we made a plugin section, so it's easier to find them for the people who do not know about Relic Castle or are afraid of English. Also on the Discord, I think you can also publish them in the resource section, so sometimes you might find more plugins on Discord or maybe more on the Pokemon Workshop website.
One thing that was really cool is that we're trying to make sure the PSDK community exists for new developers and just like a community that has a lot of resources going around and it's getting more and more organized every day.
Yeah, totally. That's very cool, and that's heartwarming to see that there's people that get interested into that, start creating resources about it, and even contributing to the core engine, because you can see people that just add features to the engine itself.
Oh yeah, and speaking of PSDK games and games that were utilizing Pokemon Studio are currently getting more and more releases these days.
First of all, thanks to the Relic Castle Game Jam, because we have seen a lot of games, and actually one that won the jam last time.
Yeah,
So Petra Mandala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Which
other eye-catching upcoming games that are really pushing the engine that you've really noticed so far?
For those that I've noticed, there was Petra Mandala, but it's done. There was your game, so Brom, if I'm not wrong, Pokemon Umbra, and there is of course Pokemon Eternal Forest. I'm not sure they did translate it in English, but it got a release a few months ago, and
Yeah, I remember playing it in English.
And I believe Pokemon Renaissance.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen some of the UI screens and some of the work.
Okay.
It's just really beautiful.
But it really just goes to show like how much can go into this engine as long as you really put the work in. Like it's very, very open for people to get their visions kind of implemented in the way they're looking to put it in.
Yeah, exactly. And if you struggle or stuff like that, you can just go to Discord, open help section, and we can just help you on some tiny details or some struggles. That's the most important thing, is that the community helps people.
Yeah, of course. It's a good thing that PSK community has been growing with the release of games and the upbringing of more developers. So then they kind of like help each other. And yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say or finish off as we go through?
So we've prepared some screenshots from the demo that we are talking a lot about on the Discord server. There's 3 screenshots of 3 places from the demo, mainly maps. So the first that you receive is when you enter the demo, the new demo. In the new demo, in the events, you have comments in English, so you know basically what's happening. If someone wants to know, for example, how I do an elevator or how I do a moving platform, then we can tell them go to that event, and that's easy. And the last screenshot is one of the zones you can access from the hub. This one shows swamp tiles, the dusty grass tile.
Like the Ash collection from Gen 3.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, like Ranko said, thank you very much for coming on. This is really cool talk. I feel like I came out of this knowing even just a little bit more about the engine. It's definitely been a very eye-opening discussion for me in terms of like understanding it better.
Well, thanks a lot also for inviting me, and I'm very happy that it was a constructive discussion.
Up next, we have some more trailers, starting with a story from a familiar face. Take a look.
Want to create a fan game yourself? There's a lot of great options, including Ulix. Let me tell you why. Want players to play your game on Windows? What about Linux? Not only this, but Ulix is special in that it runs natively on Android as well. Do you want your game to be low resolution with a traditional aspect ratio? No problem. What about widescreen? You can make the game you dream of in Ulix. Make use of the base engine with stunning 3D particles. Or enhance your experience via installing plugins such as procedural map generation. Ulix's editor, ULDTK, is new and shiny and a complete tool for all your game building. Build vast worlds, stack unlimited tiles, and manage your data and code, all from inside the editor. You can even import projects from Essentials into Ulix, so give it a shot.
Super exciting stuff from Ulix Dexflow. We hope you're looking forward to their public release at the end of the year. I know I am. Up next, let's take a look at a lot of games in not a lot of time. It's the Sizzle Reel, baby! Jam! Picture that as some sort of jam. I don't have a prop for that. Anyway, we're going to take a look at the most recent Relic Castle Game Jam spotlights. A game jam is where developers have 6 weeks to make a bite-sized game, and the first 3 spotlights were chosen by the judges. First, we have Tales of the Outskirts stand made by Mac, who's also the developer of Pokémon Zirconium. This takes the player back to the Outskirts stand in the Aura region, where they get caught in the middle of Team Cypher, Team Snag'em, and more. Up next is Petra Mandala, made by Ultrax and Friends, where the player is locked in a conflict between safety and their freedom. And you get to take advantage of new systems like a skill tree, recruitment, and crafting. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed it myself. The last judge-chosen spotlight game is Pokémon Blast Processed Version, made by Endless Beat, who's also the developer of Pokémon Adequate Version. Blast Processed protagonist is Sonic in a Pokémon world, and you get to interact with characters from both franchises. Now, we'll get into 4 other games that won a spotlight as they were voted on by the community. Probably the most spotlights that we've actually had ever. Pretty impressive game jam if you ask me. First up, we have Ultralight, a roguelike adventure made by Kenny Catches and team, where you dive into the shoes of an Ultra Recon Squad rookie. As violent Ultra Beasts have been on the rise, you have your sights on restoring the peace in Ultra Space by navigating through its diverse dimensions and overcoming their perils. Next is Pokémon Abstract, an open-world and 8-gym game made by Nan the Sword and team. Placed in the Velos region, explore and interact with diverse cast of characters that call the region home. Then, there's Pokémon Flower Jam, made by King Waluigi, which is a grass-type themed, completed game in Flora Isle, a small island off the coast of Sinnoh that has Fakemon, Z-moves, and more. Finally, there's Pokémon Shattered Dimension, made by Celestial Firo and team, where the player joins forces with the International Police to take on Team Distortion in a story-driven game. We now have one more interview for today, this time with Brom, a massive presence in the ROM hacking community, who I had a really, really good discussion with. Here's what they had to say about their process. Take a listen. Hey there, everyone. Today, I get a chance to sit down and talk with one of the more upcoming ROM hackers out there working through the DS scene. Brom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, but you know what else I'm doing? Your mom.
Damn. I just got. So to start out, being that you've worked in multiple different engines like Unity, Essentials Gen 3 ROM hacking, how different is it in comparison to those kind of engines working in a more 3D space?
So I did not get very far with Gen 3 4 and 5 are like relatively similar-ish. For example, making like 3D models, since it's both made for the DS, like it's pretty similar. In terms of scripting, I feel like Gen 5's is more robust because the guy who made CTR map Hello 007, him and Platt, they worked together to make a scripting language that's higher level than what is already in the game with PokeScript. It's a lot easier to do more complex things with it. So yeah, I do feel like that is a major advantage that Gen 5 has going for it.
So kind of building off of that, what are some of like the biggest technical breakthroughs that either you or people you've worked with have been able to kind of come up with for these ROM hacks?
So Platt and Hello 007 have done like a lot of technical breakthroughs. Platt was able to edit the intro video.
I remember they posted the cutscene on Twitter, like earlier this year or something like that.
Hello 007, he's also done a lot too, where like, okay, code injection, like that's a huge thing where it's like basically to translate into essentials terms, like basically unlocking the ability to script essentials, but with like C and C++ code instead of Ruby.
So just a natural improvement.
Yeah, like sometimes it does like come with some difficulties because like you still have to like find a place to kind of hook into. Okay, to go back to like the last question, that's another major thing. DS has a file system. You don't really have to worry about the whole free space thing unless you're editing code, in which case you kind of do but kind of don't. Yeah, because
already
again, they're files. It's so great because then it's like, in most cases, when you insert a file, then as long as it's formatted correctly, then you should just be fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, how does that work in regards to like the custom 3D models you've been making for Project SF? Because I know you've been making like just these super cool detailed interiors and even exteriors for your maps.
So thanks to Hello 007, yet again, the building editor is really nice and convenient. You can literally just like add a new model, and with the file system, it's like some things have like actual limiters to them, whereas other things it's just like it's okay with like however many files you put in there. For example, the tile sets, they do have an upper limit for that. I think it's because it reads off of one file for like we call it the area data.
Oh, instead of just like multiple sets, it is just one continuous thing.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes sense because it's like the file IO operations take a while. So it's like if you need it for everything, you just like have it in the one file, especially when it's not that much data to really be reading through.
So I know I've like followed the project since pretty early on, but for those who haven't heard of Project SF before, do you think you can go in a bit more detail about what it is?
Project SF's kind of just been like my pet project that I've been like working on for like way too long, actually. It's been through many iterations. This current iteration's been like since like 2021. So it's like, it's had some like radical changes. I've been trying to do cool things with like sprite animation as well. But yeah, I guess, yeah, it is just kind of like my little pet project for the Nintendo DS and DSi.
Now, have you been developing it with the intention of it being primarily played on a DS?
I think that's like the main advantage of like a ROM hack is then it's easily playable on console. And I mean, playing on emulator is fine.
Playing on a console, even just using a flash card, is just a different experience. Well, that pretty much does it for the questions I have. Before we finish things off, is there anything that you want to say to the people who are interested in ROM hacking or anything like that? Just kind of words of advice or inspiration?
A lot of things I feel like are really similar to essentials. I mean, like there are some additional limitations, yes. I feel like, yeah, the biggest barrier really is like art stuff, I feel like, because I feel like there's a decent amount of things you can do without having to even program. You can pretty much have like a really vanilla Pokemon experience without even really needing to do any code injection.
And then you have ROM hacking communities like RH Hideout, which is, while I myself haven't done a ton of ROM hacking, the people that I've seen, they're always just very helpful, communicative when it comes to like teaching new people how to figure out what they're trying to do. I will say it's definitely been nice to get this bigger insight into ROM hacking because I've always been interested in it. I thought that like in time it was going to just do some incredibly crazy, awesome things. And especially in the last few years, it seems like I've seen a lot of really, really interesting and cool projects coming out. And honestly, I'm excited to see where things go and be able to actually show some people who may not be aware of it what goes into this. But yeah, I just want to say thank you again for sitting down talking with me for as long as we have. I think people are going to get some really, really cool stuff from this. And yeah, thank you again for sitting down with me.
earth shall bow before my might, for I am destined to conquer it. Unleash your weapon. Let earth witness the devastation it shall bring.
Attention Camp Maharlika, an unidentified spacecraft has entered Earth's atmosphere. Everyone, to your battle stations.
Get ready, cause I'm about to show you the power of my team. I'll do everything to protect the world.
And that's it for today. What did you think of the trailers and interviews we featured? We hope you now have many more fan games to play and look forward to, and we appreciate you showing so much support for the developers that make these games. Eevee Expo 3 and the Expo as a whole would not be where it is today without the support and drive that all of you developers and viewers show. Without you, we wouldn't be here. I hope you take the time today to take a look at some of the awesome games, ROM hacks, and other amazing features and tools made by these developers. Most of all, you have a good night now.